Wayne Roche, good to see you again, brother.
You too, man. Been a while since we've been on, actually. I was starting to fucking forget how to do this.
We were just looking at it then. We're like, we didn't do this last fortnight because last fortnight, the whole of the fucking Gold Coast and Southeast Queensland and many, many other regions of the northern New South Wales and Southeast Queensland were underwater. You included. You were stuck down there with your little daughter. You couldn't quite get across the border. So welcome back, mate. Welcome back.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Good to be back. It was actually. It's funny you talk about that, Robbie. So that morning when I was saying to you, I was driving down. So I'm driving down the M1, and I'm like, fuck, how good's this? I'm like kicking ass for time. And then I noticed all the semi-trailers were parked along the M1. I was like, man, I'm getting a dream run here. What's going on? And I was screwing through and I was like, but denied, got to take a detour. Then suddenly I was off the M1 into the back of Tweed Heads, and mate, water. Like I saw one car that had up to the windscreen, and because I had pipes with me, I was like, holy shit. So we ended up following this other car that was a little bit smaller than ours and just got the fuck out of there.
Crazy times. So yeah, I guess let's you and I wish everyone that has been affected by the floods in some way, shape or form, directly or indirectly, that I hope, obviously the water's receded a lot since then. And certainly today's been a fucking fairly decent day here in Southeast Queensland. So certainly I hope that everyone's got through that with the minimum amount of fuss as possible. So terrible bloody times. Interestingly, pleasingly, thankfully, with the 300 plus properties that Axon's built, own homes, investment properties, Chrissy Williams joining us, Beck Hinton, Huey Allen, Sammy Wynn, owner occupiers, investors, like, a full smattering there, as plenty of people no doubt join us. I'll put it to the group here, team. Guess how many of those 300 properties that we have sourced, helped build, get tenants in, help you move in? Guess how many of them were affected by the floods? I'd love to know what the answer is. You got between 0 and 300. Go. Let me know what it is. Mate, and thinking about that, I'm actually fired up tonight. Sammy Wynn, you are the top of the team. 0 is the answer. Good girl. And I actually spoke about this with a client the other night, and I told them that story. They're like, well, you should tell everyone about that. That's freaking amazing. Here's me. Yeah. I'm like, well, fucking course that's going to be the case, because we put flood mapping and we do analysis, and we don't just go fucking buy anywhere. When you actually give a shit about where you buy properties, then the likelihood of that occurring is pretty low. But yeah, she thought it was a good thing to bring up. I was out on the road all day today. So I had myself and a bunch of other people, build support girls and Angie and the like, were in the car. So the new Axon Venga bus got a heap of bugs on the windscreen, Chris, a bug fat 0. And we went for a drive all day, mate. We went wanted to the big areas in Southeast Queensland that's done amazing things for a bunch of our clients. And I hadn't been up there since mid last year, Dane. And I couldn't believe how much their area had not just expanded as far as number of houses, but we went back and drove past the number of houses that were built 2-3 years ago. And the trees are all mature, the parks are all done, and it doesn't look like a brand new little concrete city like a lot of the brand new estates are, when there's tradies utes everywhere, and the shrubs the builders put out there are only like this big. Yep. Everyone and everything's grown up, and it was almost unrecognizable. It's really cool though.
It's interesting when you say it, because I was saying to you, like, whenever I sort of go into a new sort of area, looking around, it's always like, man, is there people in the parks? Are there families in the parks playing? It's like, I don't know what it is, but when I see it, I'm like, well, you're not going to be doing that in the Darrow area. But when I go through that place that you're talking about, actually, because I went up there at the end of last year, mate, and I was just like, mate, this is fucking gold. Like, it was just bustling. Like, just people everywhere, and people going through. The bus network was already servicing the area and going out. I was like, wow, and they're nowhere near where they're trying to get to in the end, right? Like, there's still so much to come.
When I was talking to Simo, doing a sync with him in the car on the way home, I was telling him about this, but he goes, but they haven't even built the town centres. All the shopping centres are not finished done. There's still new schools to go in. I'm like, fuck, there's lots of houses there, but there's still that, and there's some infrastructure that's in, and certainly it's all fully funded and it's all absolutely going to occur. And as our delightful executive producer, Sophie, on the back channel, as we were just talking about this, she's like, how much is it going to be worth when all that infrastructure goes in? I'm like, that's the point, Soph. Like, it's already done so well. So yeah, man, it's fucking exciting. And as Deb's now sending through her updates as far as people getting equity from those properties as they're now looking to, expand their portfolios, it's little wonder people are between $170,000 and $300,000 up.
Yeah.
One property, 555, is now valued at 850, bought in 2019. Obviously, that just rolls straight into another property. So it's fucking exciting, man. I really, really love it. And Nat, as I see you just joining us there, Nat was driving the Venga bus pretty much the whole day today, Dane. So you did a great job, buddy. You did a really, really good job. Shane, I can't tell you where we are talking about, buddy. And I'm not trying to be a dickhead about that. But if you were to just come on here and go, if I mention suburb A, and then you're like, oh, fucking cool, I'm going to go and buy in suburb A. What if it's not the right suburb for you? What if you can't afford to buy there? What if the cash flow and the pros and cons about buying in that area don't actually suit your circumstances? There's a part of it, Shane, that says it would be irresponsible for you to just take one little tip from one random guy on the internet and go, fuck, honey, let's go buy there. That's the first bit. And the second bit, mate, is that people pay us money to get access to all the research that we do to make this fucking happen in the first place. And unless you're one of our paying customers, bro, with the greatest level of respect, I'm not being an arrogant dickhead. Well, I'm not going to tell you where they are. But if you want to put some skin in the game, then we'll open up Pandora's box for you. Chrissy Williams, loose lips, lips. They fucking do, mate. They absolutely do. All right, so I'll give you three, Sammy Wynn. I'll give you three guesses. Who's part of the design team for the minor trauma centre of the new health precinct in our area? You. It's probably you, buddy. Thanks for your understanding, Shane. Honestly, brother, if you want a piece of this pie, just reach out to us and we'll put a plan in place. And I guess, Dane, you and I as the two coaches of the business, it's one of the challenges, but it's one of the biggest thrills, especially on my behalf. I don't want to put any words in your mouth, that putting an individual plan together for each client that is very unique and very special and very tailored to them is the greatest benefit and the greatest satisfaction I get anyway, as opposed to just a random cookie cutter where we can just fucking shove 5 clients into one location. Doesn't work like that, does it?
No way. So I think and I think we're talking about it, was it last week? I was saying, a lot of the time too, even though the stuff we put out online, like what we're doing now, we talk generic in nature, everyone is very individual by nature. Like every single person that comes across my desk is trying to achieve something else. They have a different what their dream home is going to look like. They're going to look into, their posting localities, all that sort of stuff. So when you take all that in, and then obviously there's finance structuring and all that sort of stuff, but it's so rewarding because a lot of time it comes and they're like, oh, I don't know how to get to, I'm in A, I need to get to step D. I'm like, okay, cool. This is how we can do that, and just making sort of the art of the possible come through. And it's like you said, mate, it's very rewarding. It's absolutely very rewarding.
Yep. Shane, I got your message there, buddy. We're looking at buying our own home. Like, I can't see how many people are watching in general terms. I don't care whether there's fucking 5 or 50 and it's anywhere in between. We've got Sammy Wynn, Huey Allen, and also fucking Junior Herman that I see here. So that's 3 out of the people that I can see of the bunch of people in there that have all bought and built their own home based on the services we provide. So we are not an investment property company. We help people buy their own homes as well, dude. So yeah, just reach out to us afterwards, and let's see if we can help you. But the proviso is this, and I had a great session with Dave and Christy last night. Clients I met, they were posted up in Townsville in 2019. It wasn't quite the right time for them to be able to access some equity they had in their property in Townsville, which is fucking very rare these days. But they'd smashed down their mortgage over many, many years. So they created that equity, to be fair. It wasn't the right time for them to buy the next property. But Dave's like, hey, I'm getting posted to Canungra. Come down. Let's bloody meet face to face. They came here to Longboard. So I bloody had a beer with them down here on Saturday afternoon. We got to meet face to face. And he's been following us all this time. We sat together again last night. And I'm like, look, you've got options here. You've got cash. You've got even more equity now. You're in a better financial position. You're empty nesters, et cetera, et cetera. So shit changes over a 3-year period, right? So we updated our plan. I said, right, so what do you want to do? You can buy your own home right now and effectively throw yourself in the 30-year mortgage trap, and you will buy that property for lifestyle choices only. Or, Dave, if you're telling me you've got another 5, 6, 7 years worth of work in life, you can pivot towards buying 1 or 2 investment properties, get them growing in the market, which has got nothing to do with where you live from a lifestyle perspective. And then you've got choices in 5 or 6, 7 years where you do want to buy your own home. So Shane, I know zero about your circumstances, and it's a pretty generic name. I know some Shane Stevensons, but I don't know whether this is you. So I'm just talking. I'm giving you the respect of not talking to one of my mates. Buying your own home and buying an investment property are not the same thing. One is for lifestyle reasons, where you just shouldn't. You don't buy it to make money. You buy it because that's where you want to live, and you pour emotional capital into it, and it's the roof over your head, and away you fucking go. And me and my wife are doing that right now. And I don't give a fuck if it goes up and down in value, because that's where I choose to live lifestyle-wise. But if you buy investment properties, you have no emotional connection to it. All you give a fuck about is the numbers. You should have properties in your portfolio you've never even walked into, because who fucking cares what it looks like? You're not living in it, but you know exactly what the numbers look like. So it's a very different ballpark there, and this is why we help everyone do everything. And Dane,
I'm the same.
You moved into your own home recently.
I was just thinking that when you said it all, because I was talking to someone at the start of the week. I think it might have been Amy. So I did a coaching session with her, and she was sort of talking about place in the Alps and all this sort of stuff. I said, look, there's always going to be 2 types of properties you will buy. One, you're going to buy with your heart. That's your own home. I said, you're going to like things like, mate, I'd be worried that I'd slide down the fucking hill if I was up in the mountains, right? Whereas the other one is going to be your investment. So you buy it with your mind, right? So you put your dollars with your mind or your dollars with your heart. I said, the place I live in, I wanted to be close to the beach. It wouldn't probably, the rent to value ratio probably wouldn't be what I paid for it, all that sort of stuff. But I don't care, because that's what I wanted. Like, I had certain things that came across, and I know it's separate to my investment portfolio, because my investment portfolio I look at very, very differently. Because when I look at that, I'm like you, like I always say, just tell me the numbers. What are the fucking numbers? What is it going to do to my bank balance? That's what I want to know. Because in the end, I don't give a shit about the colors and everything like that. Is it going to be able to be marketed to the middle of the market? Are people going to want to rent it? Is it going to be competitive people looking for that? Will the rent be growing? Is the growth in the property going up? All those things is what I want to see in it. I don't give a shit about the other stuff. As long as it's doing that, it's doing what I want. Because in the end, I want to retire someday. As much as I love hanging out with you, brother, all the time, it's going to come.
You said you're going to give me 10 years. You've got 8 to go.
It's going to come thick and fast, mate. It's going to come thick and fast. So it's having that different sort of mindset and being able to separate it. And I think one of the things is, and I'm sure you would agree, is it's tough for a lot of people because property is tangible. You can touch it. You go, oh, I love those tiles. I'd love to have those tiles in there because you like it. But in the end, you need to separate yourself from that and go, well, is it something that's going to be rent ready? Is it something that's going to be able to be hard wearing, long lasting? What's the warranties on it? All those sort of things, because you've got to think with your mind with it. What is this going to do in the market? So I'm 100% with you, brother. 100%. Get your axle inspiring.
When we were looking at one of our clients' investment properties today, bought in a predominantly owner-occupied estate, I looked across the road, and they had some really, really nice cladding. It's like a Hampton style house, I suppose. Beautiful little pitch roof and stuff. And I was like, it was this bright blue cladding. And I was like, ooh, that's fucking interesting. Because all the other houses are they're modern, they're sleek, they're broadly appealed, they've got neutral colors, but this was a fucking bright blue house. Very, very nice house. Sure as shit, a lady came out with a fucking wheelie bin, sat down and started picking weeds out of her grass. And I went, that's not a tenant. That's an owner-occupied. And you know what? I'm sure she loves her house. But it was weird to see I wouldn't buy a fucking house that had bright blue cladding out the front, because not everyone likes that.
In the end, though, like you said, it's up to them. If they want to paint the roof red, go your hardest. It's your own home. Do whatever you want. I don't know whether that'll be part of the covenant. All right, so team, we're here as a live Q&A. This is completely unscripted. Natalie in the car today as we were driving back, she's like, so what are you going to talk about tonight? I'm like, I purposely don't give it any thought, because I want it to be as raw and real and unscripted and upfront as it fucking possibly can be. So, we're here to answer all of your questions about ADF housing entitlements, veteran entrepreneurship, what's going, like, as I see another couple of questions coming through there now, I'll get to them. What's been happening with the floods, what's happening with land registration, what's happening with building prices, what's happening with delays, what's happening with ADF separation. So, as a veteran-owned business with myself and 9 other veterans that work in the business,
we know a thing or two about being able to successfully separate from the military, as everyone will do one day. As soon as you sign that check to the government of an amount up to and including your life, you're going to be a veteran one day as well. Like, i.e., you're going to pop out the other end. And how is it that you can actually, conduct yourself in the real world is very challenging for most people. And it's part of the reason why so many veterans have so many issues when they get out. If they place themselves in an environment which is unfamiliar, hard body, soft body stuff, as Joe Decino said late last year. Go and listen to that podcast if you haven't seen it. But if you're under financial stress because you have not been smart with your money at the same time and you're paying market rent in an unfamiliar environment, you're going to feel very, very, duck out of water very quickly. So yeah, it's part of the main reasons why we even started the business, is to make sure you guys have got your shit together when it comes to money.
Yes.
Because I know that money doesn't make you happy, but think about this: a lack of money will make you very unhappy. So and life's not all about having money, but money is the oxygen and the fuel which allows everyone to go do shit, because you can't do much for free. There's so much love, trust, and pixie dust that the world fucking goes on. So there you go. Shane, and happy for you to tell us all about your circumstances in a public forum, buddy. But let's do it. Let's do it privately, and we can actually sit down properly and get it done. I saw a question here, Sammy Wynn. So, Dane, I'll ask you this question, brother. Thank you, Soph. With the recent floods, will there be concerns that the building industry will experience even further delays because of the insurance jobs taking priority?
Okay, so in the end, we're talking about trades here. Trades that then turn around and get tasked out. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of insurance work coming out. Like I drove through, and I was sort of saying to you the other day, Robbie, when I was sort of taking Pi back home, the amount of rubbish and shit from people's houses that had moved out to the street for a curbside collection. And there was stuff like for days, right, going through that in certain areas. In the end, with the trade stories, I think one of the big things was with materials being very slow to come across and build time frames going out slightly. I felt like that was actually starting to really get a bit of a handle on over the last few months, and then it comes and rains. So I think there might be, it's kind of like one step backwards to take two steps forward sort of thing. I think it's in the end, they're perishable issues. They don't last forever, which is good. But I do think that there will be, to be brutally honest, I think there will be a slight little drag, because in the end, the trades are there and their jobs, right? So whether they'll take priority over building at the moment is yet to be seen. What about yourself, mate?
There's no hiding from it, Sammy. You're on the money there. And this is not me. I'm a very optimistic person anyway, and this is not me providing an answer through rose-colored glasses. But I guess the answer to your question is yes, there's going to be delays. The so what out of you is like, what do you do now in the military, in the army? They're like, what do you do now, platoon commander? There's an issue that you're facing. What are you going to do? And you got to fucking make a decision quickly. And I'm not suggesting you make these decisions quickly. This is why you come to sessions like this and hear it from us. As you know too well, Sammy, careful what you ask for, because you're going to get a very direct answer from us, because our give a shit factor is very high. Like, we give a shit so much, we don't give a shit, if that makes sense, right? It's placed a whole lot of demand. So the other factor is there's so much interstate migration in Queensland right now happening, which is fueling the prices. People that are living down south come up to places, Sammy, where you're living, and even see your house at 650, 700,000. They're like, fuck, that's cheap. And you're like, this is gold. We only bought it for low fives. So it's their mentality there, the Mexicans, the Southerners that are coming to Queensland, which is driving a lot of this, a lot of the capital growth. So if you decide to wait, let's not buy another house. We'll wait till this wave of delays, pardon the pun, from the floods, wave of delays is over, and then we'll get a house when it settles down a little bit. You are going to be fucking chasing time. So if I was in that shoes, if I was in your shoes, anyone's shoes, trying to decide whether they're going to buy a house right now, here's the thing. What would you rather? Would you rather there's no delays, everything happens like clockwork, your house gets built in 4 months, and from the time you finish starting building a house, like you're in, and you only paid the minimum amount of interest on the loan, and you've got a tenant in there, and away you go. Or, and you might have made 20 or 30 grand in capital growth over that 4 or 5, 6 month period. Or, sure, it's going to take a little while longer to do so. So, and therefore the market conditions are not that high, and therefore the capital growth is not that much, right? Because everything's happened very quickly, and there's no delays, and there's plenty of raw materials, and there's no fucking war in Russia, and there's timber coming in through the borders, etc. So it's normal conditions. Would you rather that, or rather buy a house right now, accept that it's going to take, like on our little sync matrix, and Sammy, when you and your mate sit with me soon, and I'll show you, we're not budgeting 6 months to build a house anymore. We're budgeting 12 months. But the fucking amount of capital growth people are getting in that, and so sure, you're going to pay $11,000 or $12,000 of interest, not $6,000 or $7,000 of interest before you move in or your tenant moves in. So yes, you pay a little bit more along the way, but the net result you get because of the market conditions right now is far superior. So it's what I was again speaking to Dave and Christy. Who cares if it takes 4 or 5 months extra to build your house? Because in these stage releases we're seeing right now, Sammy, even where you are, there's between stage 3 and stage 4, they're putting $30,000 or $40,000 on each block. So it's bloody crazy as far as that goes. Chrissy Williams says, hopefully not too many dominoes will fall following the announcement with large building companies going under. What are your thoughts? Yeah, mate, look, there is a massive difference between the types of operations and therefore profit margins and accessibility of trades and whatever else that go into. So those big, like large building companies, including DevCon, which are a local business here on the Gold Coast, who I don't know personally, but I see their fucking signs everywhere. So, or is it ConDev, whatever it is, ConDev, I think it is. Yeah. Thanks, Dane. They've gone under, but they don't build the types of properties that we specialize in building. They don't build single standing residential homes. They build commercial properties, big high-rise apartments, big projects that take a few years to build, and they cost a few $1 million throughout the whole period. And, therefore, as opposed to taking 7, 8, 9, 10 months to build a house, their projects go for 2 or 3 years. They're exposed to market instability for so much longer. And therefore they're going to, the susceptibility of getting the speed wobbles is so much there. And yeah, it's a whole different game. So, yes, they seem to have a lot of projects on the go at any one time. Now, sure, the builders that we use, Dane, as you and I are well aware, they've got 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 houses on the go at any one time as well. And what a fucking jigsaw puzzle that is to try and to sort out. But their overheads and their margins are so much lower because they don't have a fucking huge business that they're sort of trying to keep on the go at the same time. So, yeah, it's a very, very interesting times.
One of the builders you had in to come in and have a chat, Robbie, who used to do apartments, right? And I think it's funny and he said, you're going from there, into the land and build sort of product. He said, mate, it's just the amount of outlay. And because if we talk about, like, if you're building an apartment complex that costs $200 million, I was watching the news earlier today that one's down near Broadbeach, $200 million to put this fucking complex up. If you have changes in 20%, that's another $40 million. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean on these big ones. Not like you said, it's very vast in the way of like the market conditions, but increases and so on and so forth is on a mass scale. So when they do take on a lot, I think that's one of the credits with one of the builders, with the builders we utilise, Robbie, because we spoke about them. I spoke with them a lot last year, and they were saying, "Hey, we're finding our sweet spot. We don't need to take on X amount. We're finding where we can deliver fantastic packages at the right price and continue that quality assurance." And we're like so on board with that. We're like, "That's what we want, mate." Because we want to make sure that our clientele get the best products. So I think one of the things is, there's a few that are going under. And then if they're cheap, fucking pay peanuts to get monkeys. But some of the things that you see online and you say, hey, someone can build a house for 195 grand. They fucking can't. They cannot. I can guarantee you that. That's clickbait to get you in. And so cheap isn't always best with this. Like you'll be sitting there with them coming back and saying, you need to give us another 40 grand. You need to give us another this. Every time they have an increase, they'll come at you. Like you don't want to have that.
Yes. It just reminded me actually. I did a connection call. I've got my calendar here on my other screen. Sorry about my side profile, ladies and gents. I know it's pretty poor. I'll be with you back in a second. I spoke to this guy on last Tuesday, and he was asking me about when to get his HPAS and when to get his first homeowners grant or whatever. So I was like, so mate, have you already started building? He goes, yeah, I'm just about like finished building my house. It was like out at Bow Desert or somewhere, right? I don't say that with shame, but I'm like, thank you for all our listeners out at Bow Desert, by the way. But anyway, I said, why'd you buy it there, mate? He goes, oh, bloody cheapest chips out there, mate. Like, I got a really good deal. I said, oh, which builder did you use? No names, no pack drills. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, how'd you go with that, mate? He goes, yeah, like they've been all right. Like it's taking a little while longer. I said, that's all normal. That's fine. I said, he goes, oh, but I've got a few big costs coming up towards the end of the build. I'm like, what costs are you talking about? He goes, oh, I've got to do the fencing and the landscaping and stuff. I'm like, what do you mean you got to do the fencing and landscaping? He goes, well, I didn't include that in the contract. I'm like, why not? He goes, oh, I didn't have the money. Like I'm going to do it on the cheap. I'm like, you just told me you're about to get posted to Sydney. How the fuck are you going to organise getting landscapers and fences in your investment property to try and have another human, like another family, to go in there and live in this house? He's like, I know, that's what I'm trying to like. That's what I'm ringing you about. I'm like, I'm not your guy, mate. Yeah. I don't have a key which you can unlock that issue that you've got. So I just got off the call. I'm like, fucking full turnkey. Old mate's trying to save 20 or 30 grand, and now he's still going to have to pay 20, 30 grand that he's forgotten about and hasn't budgeted for, and now he's going to have to do it because sure as shit. Like if you can think Murphy's Law is going to strike, please plan for it all the time, ladies and gents, because it's going to happen. Because now he gets posted and he can't project manage it, and now he's fucking going to have a house which is going to get built, and there's going to be dust and dirt and shit everywhere when all the landscaping's in, and he's trying to find a tenant. So it's just I'm not sitting here having a crack at him. It actually makes me sad, and it reinforces to me why I built this business in the first place, is to try and fucking avoid all that stuff happening. It's just,
it's pretty frequent though, if you think about it, Robbie. Like people going in and they don't have the allowance for turf, didn't do the yard, and they get to the end of it and they go, fuck. Like I spoke to a rough couple who were down in East Sale a while back. I think it might have been back in the last year. They had to get a personal loan to finish their house off because when they got to it, they hadn't carpeted all the bedrooms. And then they said, oh, no, the allowance was for 2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Read the fine print. Yeah. Well, people have never looked at a bill contract in their life. Yeah. And they're going through that. Like we're talking about, 150 page documents. So I think it's really important, like you said, is being able to take the time. Like we go through and do all that for you, and make sure that you are able to have a builder walk out and flick a key to a tenant walking the other way, because that's what you want. You want the handoff experience, because suddenly you get posted and you're sitting in fucking Perth. Imagine trying to organise it now.
Yeah, crazy, mate. Crazy. Sorry, mate. I'm just reviewing my calendar because I've spoken to because it's been a month since we were on this call, right? I've spoken to so many awesome fucking people in the military, and a couple of 2 civvy mates there actually as well. More than half of my calls right now are all people that are in their first build, haven't even finished their first build, have made sufficient equity in their house. They're like, let's get together and put a plan in place to do that again. And it's so pleasing. And this is people that are experiencing delays, and they're understanding, and they're like, we don't care. Like fucking, we've made equity in our first property, be it an own home or investment property, as I look at the smattering of names there, and they're just like, let's just fucking do this again. So yeah, it's a great feeling. And I know the ratio, Dane, like we know a little back end system there, that I do a lot of the repeat clients, because obviously I met those clients in the years before you came along. But I know that's, certainly you've had your own fair share of clients that have come back to, buy subsequent properties. And I know young Alex B that you spoke to during the week. Like it was that story. Straight away. Tell that story quickly, because it's a great little tale.
So Alex had done a property, an owner-occupied property with us in Brisbane. So he'd gone through, he picked up all his entitlements while he was posted to Inogra, He picked up his home builder grant as well, mate. A nice cheeky 25 grand. Then he turned around and he got posted down to Canberra. So he's in Canberra, and at the time he was raring to get it. He's like, mate, I want to go again. I was like, okay, look, Robbie and I are trying to work on a product that we'll be able to get into, but his numbers were pretty slim. And I said, let's just see how we go, mate. Obviously, that opportunity didn't come to fruition because a builder didn't end up getting the lots, and there was a change of developer, and all these sorts of things happened. I said, look, it's not going to. He goes, oh, mate, by the way, I'm getting out. I'm like, oh, congratulations, man. I said, like, how are you going with the transition? Are you going through, making sure you get your DBA stuff? Are you doing all these stuff with your, DHA, just all those checks and balances when you do? Because if you miss them, they're hard to do once you're out, right? So he's going along that bouncing. Yeah, fuck, I know what it's like, mate. You're like, hey, remember me? They're like, nah, you had your chance. You should have ticked the tick box. But he goes, oh, mate, I got this job, and not talking about his wage, but he goes, I'm going to 140 grand. I'm like, what? I'm like, mate. I'm like, that is, fuck, you're like the Donald Trump of Canberra at the moment. He goes, yeah, it's going to be fucking great. And then I put two and two together because you hit me up and go, oh, mate, we've got this really, really great opportunity at the moment, but we need to get, we've only got 24 hours to make it happen. I was like, bang, bang, Blythe, let's fucking talk, and jumped on and talked to Alex, and he was like, mate, let's do it, gold, 100%. And I just love, like, it's so different when you first have someone who first meets us, and I get it. You come through, they're probably going, is this guy a dickhead or what? And then you have that slow, yes, I'm on your side. Whereas with Alex, it was like, he's like, mate, trust you guys, it's going to be great. And he actually called me this morning because we did this a week ago, and he was like, I'm so thankful to follow that because I've been looking at that area and I'm looking at the rent return. And he goes, it is an absolute no-brainer. That is just a fantastic. I said, mate, it was you. You've made it happen by coming through and going, hey, I'm going to take the plunge and get it happening. And I couldn't be more proud of him, man. Like he is going to be a very, very well-to-do young man down there in Canberra. Yeah, very well-to-do.
So good. And you've actually just reminded me. I've forgotten about this, of course, because it happened last week. But he was part of that. Remember, we got 5 lots given to us by a builder in 2 separate locations. And I then took a call from Adam, the builder, at 4:00 on last Wednesday driving home. And he's like, hey, I said, hey, Adam, how you going? He goes, oh, not too good, man. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? He goes, those lots I gave you yesterday? He goes, we need air. So we've just got off of a big meeting with our head office down in Melbourne. Sammy Wynn, to your point, they're like, listen, we're expecting a lot of the trades to go and work with insurance companies for more money. We're putting our prices up by 12 grand unless you have an EOI on those properties by tomorrow afternoon. And I'm like, fuck, bro, I've only got your brochures like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I need time. And he goes, I know, mate. Lee, our managing director, he said, look, this is what's going on. I'm like, fucking hell. So what do? We're like, we've got all these people on our list. We're like, right, repeat client, literally on the phone going, hey, this is what's going on. I'm going to send you something, a raw package from the builder right now. We'll still do up the proper AXA one for you. Let me know what you want to do in the morning. Otherwise, it's going to go to someone else. Or if you want, it's going to cost you 12 grand more. Bang, 5 EOYs in straight away. And it was fucking, admittedly, one of those was falling off. And one of those is the only person that's fallen off is not a repeat client. So I do feel sorry and I do feel bad that sometimes when there's a fleeting opportunity, if someone's doing it for the first time, they get the bloody speed wobbles. But not someone doing it for the second time. They're like, fucking no dramas. So we haven't changed addresses. We've still got the same date of birth. Submit the EOI for us.
Yeah.
More like fucking gold. And then we can slow it all down and play catch up afterwards. So it's a real insight, ladies and gents, for you watching us. And Beck McInerney, I'll see you there. We're so excited to be back. And certainly we drove past your house today. That's where we were up there today, buddy. And the fucking place is looking magnificent. And no wonder Deb's got a valuation back of about 200 grand more than what you guys paid. So that's, I didn't promise you that when we first met, but it's fucking glad that it has happened. Hello, Deb. You're here late. Sorry. You can be here as late as you want, my dear, because you can watch this next week if you want. But so glad to have you on the call. Deb, just before you came on, we were just explaining about the flurry of EOIs that came into your inbox as well late last week. Because we had basically 24 hours to get these EOIs in. Otherwise, everyone was going to have to pay 12 grand more. So yeah, cha-ching. And, I rang you straight away. I said, look, sorry, Deb, I need you to turn these around quickly and just re-crunch some numbers for us to make sure that we weren't sort of backing these amazing repeat clients, into a corner. So yeah, it's quite exhilarating and thrilling sometimes, Dane, when that stuff sort of happens, isn't it, mate?
Oh, 100%. I think one of the words I picked up then, mate, when you spoke about opportunity, like you're not going to Coles. There's not fucking piles of this shit sitting on the shelf and you just grab one and walk out when you're ready. It is property is opportunity based. You're not the only person looking for it. You can guarantee that. And when you get things like that, so for all those who dares wins, jumped in and saved themselves $12,000.
Yeah, so good.
And that was great. And you and I were talking about the next day. We actually rang Adam. We're like, mate, done.
Yeah,
And he was like, wow, how fuck that is it, And I was like, mate, it's a testament to not only the locations that those properties were in, but also our process and having those repeat clients just go, yep, I'm trusting the process.
Yeah.
I love it when they're giving information back to you, stuff you teach them a year ago. Oh yeah, EOI and the deposit, yeah. And oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, man, standard rims, let's do it. And they're just like, yep, 100%. So very rewarding, man. Very rewarding.
And certainly, as we do coach these clients coming back especially for their second property, because when you're buying your first property, remember that one of the 4 C's of lending, ladies and gentlemen, is for your deposit and costs. It's got to have you need to have capital or collateral for your deposit and costs. Your deposit and costs got to come from somewhere. Capital is cash. Collateral, in my eyes anyway, is known as equity. So we don't really have that equity conversation with people that are using a cash deposit for their first house because they don't have any equity yet. They're buying the house for the first time. But I love basically going, all right, cool. Your first house has grown in value. You can't have access to the total amount of equity. You can only have access to the top 90%. There's that little red hat on the box, little red hat on the house. But there's this space in the middle called available equity. We can then use that equity to then go and buy your second property. I'm like, you don't even have to use any of your own cash, or if you do need to top up maybe 10 or 20 grand, that's fine. And everyone's like, what? So we don't have to save our way to another thing? I'm like, no. Remember the very first time you watched our education videos, I said you can grow your portfolio by using available equity to then make it happen. We're doing that for you right now. And just the looks on their faces, and they sit back in their chair, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do a little no-fire area over your 50 grand you've got in your offset account. That's not to be touched. Sure, you might need a couple of $1,000s to pay the EOI for the land or whatever. Like there's some small outgoings there, but predominantly that cash is not going to be touched. That's your cash buffer. That's your operating capital. Like that's what needs to be there. So there's different levels of education and different levels of coaching that we take our clients through, mate, don't we? As their portfolio grows. They evolve with their portfolio, and we evolve the type of coaching that we provide them as well.
You see the relief on them, because that was one when I did that with Alex as well, right? So I was like, mate, you've got your property, and we went and got a val on it when you posted out. So and it was this. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to use all your cash to. And he's like, holy shit. He goes, mate, I thought I had to start saving and getting all that. And I was like, no, we already know that it's already been valued at. So we're going to use a combination of both. And remember I said to you the very first time I met you, the hardest one is your first, because your very first one is when you got to go mono in mono. You're saving every cent to get yourself there. Now something's going to help you.
Yeah.
And then we get our second one, and now 2 things are helping us. So it's not kind of like that wave, right? And you start moving forward, and you don't always have to do that. And you keep the flexibility, keep your cash, mate. Use the lazy equity, as we call it, because at the moment it's not doing anything for us. It's sitting there. We know it, but it's not helping grow your portfolio.
Yeah, so true. Junior Herman says that must be unheard of for the builder to have a positive turnaround in 24 hours. Well, it wasn't just one, buddy. It was 5. So it was, and Damo and James and Dave in the property specialist space have now all been doing the follow-up property packs and admin and paperwork on the back end. And then we got a call on Monday this week and said, hey, boys, got all your EOIs. We've struck the build contracts. Build contracts need to be in today. Otherwise, we're going to reprice them. So we're like, oi, get on the DocuSign, sign your build contract, send it back. Yeah. So, it's at the end of the day, you guys have heard me talk about this saying before. He with the gold. Sorry, I'll go back. The golden rule is this. He with the gold makes the rules. There's 2 people that are holding the gold right now. So in this instance, whereby the builder had put and call blocks given to them from the developer's got the gold because they're the one that hands that stuff out. And then certainly the builder has the goal and say, if you don't sign your contract by this certain time, I'm sorry, but we're going to reprice it and you're going to pay an extra 12 grand. So yeah. Jakey Stanton, shotgun next 5, brother. I love that. See, there's confidence for you right now, Jake, because you know what you're doing. You would not have said that if you're one of the people watching us for the first time, going, "Who the fuck are these guys?" Like, it's the evolution. Shane Stevenson, how long after you settle on your house before you get your DOHAS payments? So effectively, mate, you need to use one of the 3 DOHAS lenders: Australian Military Bank, Def Credit, or NAB. And then effectively, mate, like as soon as you start to draw, so if it's a 2-part contract. You got your land and you got your house. Once you settle on your block of land and you start building your house, you start drip feeding the money to the builder. Effectively, the DOHAS credits start kicking in after that. It starts off very, very small, and then eventually you get to your maximum loan that you've got there. So it's in broad terms, mate. That how it works.
Noting you've been in for 4 years too, Shane. Just be very wary, mate, of pulling the trigger on your DOHAS too early. I know there's a lot of shiny things when you first sort of get in and want to use them straight away, but it's worth more to you later on. So please get in touch with us, mate. I'd love to talk to you, to be honest, and start fucking running.
And another thing there is the first sense I get when people start flicking to us RFIs about, what about this entitlement? What about that entitlement? The first thing that springs to mind then, and I don't know about your circumstance from a bar of soap, is this. You need, or you're relying upon, or you're very inquisitive about the entitlements. And that means you could be running pretty skinny, right? Got it. Awesome. Please remember as well. So first of all, if you're running pretty skinny and you need your HPAS just to get yourself over the line, we need to assess your circumstances, because we don't want you going back to zero. Like if you're relying on your $11,000 or your fucking $180 a month for DOHAS to make the numbers work, we need to create a bit of redundancy and a bit of fat and or buffer in that circumstance. But if you're not posted to a location, Shane, which is going to have that sustained and low risk capital growth over the long term, and you pull the trigger too early, all that stuff that you need and you rely upon and you're inquisitive about right now is going to fucking slip through your fingers. There's holes in my fingers. It's going to slip through your fingers because the property ain't going to go up in value. And you're like, oh fuck, we've now used all of our entitlements and we got no equity in our house 3 or 4 years down the track, honey, and we can't even actually grow our portfolio. Fuck, we should have waited till we got somewhere where we can pull the trigger on those entitlements, be in a buoyant position to make it happen, and have the house go up in value as well. That's the best case scenario, Dane, where you bought, where I bought, and where many other Axon team members have decided to buy their own home. It's lifestyle choices and it's going up in value. So now that lifestyle wealth creation stuff that I spoke about in the first 5 minutes, I was moderating everyone's expectations there, is that normally you can't get both. But when you can buy in the right location and your house, and it's a fucking great place to live that suits your individual circumstances, and it goes up in value, that's a double whammy. Why not have that happen for you? So yeah, it's that's why we don't just wave a magic wand and provide a whole lot of specific advice answering questions through the chat here, because everyone's circumstances are so different and we need to give it the respect and time to analyze and go through it properly. And Dane, no doubt about it, you'd be the perfect bloke, to allow, Shane and other people like that to basically put a plan together.
100%, man. Mate, what's been noting we haven't been on here for a month, what's been your highlight over the last month? You've been doing a lot of things, mate. You've been a very busy man.
I'm never busy. I'm productive. It's one of my favourite sayings. It's one of my favourite sayings. Damo's just said in the other chat there, is the Facebook Live cutting out for anyone? Sammy, you're on. Shane, you're on. Junior on. Can you guys just let us know, are the comms coming through okay? Or as it might just be someone, we've got a little back channel chat coming through. Just give us a thumbs up if you guys can see and hear us okay, please. We just want to make sure you're not, it's not too scratchy. Yeah, Dane, it's funny, living here in the Q1, there's an awesome little, thanks, Junior. There's a little, and Sammy as well, there's a little convenience store down the bottom there, and every now and then I'm fucking unorganized and I don't have any bread and milk, and I go down there and I see old mate behind there. He sees me every week or so, and he asks me the same thing every time. Busy day, mate? Busy week? And you know what I say to him every single week? I'm like, I'm never busy, I'm productive. It's not the same. It's different. He goes, oh, that's such a great way to look at it. Growing up, I'll see him next week. Busy day, mate? I'm like, fuck, yes, mate. Thanks. Bread, milk. Boop. See you later. I'm out of there.
Shane, I see your connection call has just come through, brother. So 100%, mate. I see that loud and clear.
Who was that?
Shane Stevenson, dude.
Oh, fuck.
A man of action. You've got
I love action takers. He's like, all right, I'm fucking booking this in.
Sweet.
Gold,
Awesome.
gold. You, Shane, will go places with us because I can tell you care about this. All right, cool. What's been my highlight? I think I've sort of given you a bit of an insight already. We've got a new car now, and it's a work car. It's another black SUV. I've sold my beloved Jeep, traded in my car so we can have a work car. We call it the Axon Venga Bus, and we are going to put a bit of wrapping around the back end, the back side of it. Doe has HPAS, so when we're driving up and down the M1, people are like, "Oh, fucking Doe has my bloody friends in the army. I should tell them about this." There's a little bit of on the road marketing and a brand awareness, just like you see with any other car in the real estate sector, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to put a slogan across the back of it, and I thought hard about this. And my lovely wife, Tamara, there's no fucking way she'd let me have this. I wanted to put it on there. Like, we don't hunt Taliban anymore. We hunt the best property deals for you. Right? That's the commando approach to property. But it's never going to fucking fly. But I guess if you're asking me what the highlight is, and you and I are both exponents of this, Dane, to the nth degree, we love the hustle.
Yeah.
We love the hustle, and we love the struggle, and we love the relationship building and the boozy lunches that we have with builders. And, I love telling them about the completion rates that we have and the quality of clients and how many people we're helping. And it just all goes towards, like, when a builder's got 5 blocks and he's like, who should I give these 5 blocks to? Bang. And we get every single one of them based on the business model, based on the coaching, based on the education, based on the fucking wasting of time that doesn't happen with our clients. It just makes me feel so good, man, that we've got a standing in the industry whereby builders want to give it to us, who then gives it to you guys, which then it obviously goes ahead and bloody completes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, that's by far the highlight. And of course, if you mix that in with so many people that just want to be able to then buy another property with us, which is fucking gold. It's not free advertising, Mum. Margaret Turner, for those that don't know, is my mum here. Hello, lovely. It's not free advertising. The car cost a few dollars, and the wrapping that we put on the back won't be for free, but by fuck, we'll get a lot out of it.
Is the wrapping already on?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. When you said what's the highlight, I'm like, I love hunting for properties, and I'm like, I've got to tell you about my little slogan, which I would love to have across the back of the car, but I don't think that would fly. We don't hunt Taliban anymore. We hunt the best property deals for you. There you go, eh?
See how it goes, mate, driving around.
Mate, what about you? Because I know you have still taken the lion's share of the news. So, in the last 2 weeks, I've done 2 brand new coaching sessions. Dom and Wayne are civvy mates of Damos, and they're now going to go ahead and buy 2 properties with us. They're like, yep, we're ready to go. Bang, let's go. And young Ricardo is the brother-in-law of one of my other clients. So they're the only 2 brand new coaching sessions I've done. And the other 15 sessions or so have all been those repeat clients and reworks and whatever else. So What about you, mate? I know you've had some brand new coaching sessions come through. Give us a couple of stories from the trenches.
Oh, so I had so Amy and Josh, I did coaching number 1s with this week, actually. So it was really enjoyable. Both just near the end of their savings. They're very, very close to being able to have their deposit to sort of execute on their first investment property. But probably the one of the things I've had to be able to stand out of my last month was I had a guy who he wrote into the info at Axon. You can talk to Robbie and I through that way as well, which is the email account. Came through. Sophie flicked it on to RT and I, and it was like, hey, I'm looking for this. I've been put this direction. I said, oh, I know that name because a guy a week beforehand who I coached a year ago who was nowhere near getting a property, but just needed some solid money habits. So we usually have our sort of coach number one, which we go through a fair bit of information there. And I sort of pivoted from that, and I just focused really on, hey man, debt reduction. They had a dud property, a unit, which wasn't doing too well, so they got out of that since that. So they've gone back to fix everything up, and now they're on their own. But the referral came through him. And it felt good because a lot of time you get, and I know everyone on here, a lot of people already built properties with us and so on and so forth. But to have a referral from someone who I've been doing like stuff with 12 months ago, that was just realistically, hey man, you need to work on how you spend everything. To get a referral from that, because he's like, you got to talk to these guys. They were amazing. Because I wasn't there breathing properly on top of him because he didn't need that at that point in time. So I spoke to this other guy who's down in Adelaide, had a great chat with him. And we're doing a connection call this week, actually. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. And just the sort of the circle's complete for me a little bit with that, like how good that felt. Because to be brutally honest, man, it came out of left field.
So good. It's easy when we've got so many people making contact with us and so many referrals and so many repeat clients. It's easy it would be easy for us to go, do a connection call. You've only got 20 grand in the bank. You're not ready, mate. Come back in fucking a year's time. Like that'd be easy to do and just fob people off. But the right thing to do in the name of being aligned with the mission of the vision of the business is to allow the Defence Force community to secure their financial future using property. The best thing we can do is sit with someone for 2 hours and go through their money habits and do a savings plan for them, ignite that fire, show them that we're here for them, let them know that when the time is right, we are going to, be there for them. And oh, by the way, with no expectation that this is going to be the case, when you show that level of care and respect to someone who's not quite ready to engage your services, and you don't just fucking fob them off like many other people in our industry would, if they can't get the sale straight away. Let's talk dirty for a second. Settle down, Junior Herman. I don't mean like that. When they're at a barbecue or at the fucking bubbler or at the mess at work and they hear someone else talk about property, they'll be like, "Hey, these guys looked after me. You should give these guys a call." And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So it's a real philosophy of ours, and it starts from the top. I don't mind saying that. We will give anyone a chance and we'll give anyone our time as long as they're like, we got the criteria. Oh, please, Kent's in Townsville. Sorry. I was actually referring to Kent. I wasn't sure if he's sitting next to you. If someone is coachable, so I'll go back the other way. And we say no to people if you are this. If you are not coachable, if you think you know better, we just get a sense you're going to be a pain in the ass to deal with, we're not. I'm happily to say we're not your guy. You know what I mean? We're not your coaching team, I should say. There's certainly guys and girls. There's actually equal number of guys and girls in the business now, much to my wife's pleasure and mine, to be fair. I had a really, really great energetic connection call with a lady. She is a paramedic down in Sydney, got out of the military as a medic, and now she's transitioned across. She's been following us for quite a while. I felt like she was talking to me as a bit of a celebrity. She's like, "I know you, Robbie. I've seen all your videos. It's great to talk to you, blog." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, righto, slow down. Like, who are you? Like, this is just a phone call." And she's like, "Look, me and my hubby, he's, in the military, blah, blah, blah. We've been trying to buy blocks. We registered all the time. We can't get any of these blocks." And I'm like, "We got fucking 3 blocks last week. We're getting 2 blocks over here." She goes, "I'm definitely going to tell my hubby." I said, "Has your hubby watched any of our videos?" She goes, "Oh, no, not really. Like, we've just been trying to do it ourselves." I'm like, I've had a great conversation with you. The issue that you're facing is you want to be able to get access to blocks of land. So therefore you're going to need to lean on someone who you can create rapport and have a relationship with that's inside the industry. Like, if we've got fucking 40 people on our list right now we're trying to find a block for, how the fuck is any punter that doesn't have the connections that we do bloody trying to find a block, right? And I just got a sense that old mate, her other half, doesn't want to engage with someone else, wants to keep doing it by himself. And sure as shit, even though she was wonderful on the call and I had a great, awesome conversation with her for like fucking 40 minutes just out of the blue, haven't heard from them back. Haven't heard since.
Yeah.
No, they are not coachable. They think they want to do it themselves. They, think they know better. So, it's real one of those things that will give anyone a go, won't be, mate, if they're open to just being a decent person and putting a plan in place.
Yeah, 100%. I think too sometimes, and going back to that guy I coached 12 months ago, sometimes they're just a bit lost and they just need that plan. Like, oh man, I know I want to get into it, but to be fucking honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then when you actually sit down and you start driving it out, you start realizing what's holding them back, how they get, they've got to be on the same page as their partner. Because we say it all the time, man. And I talk to people all the time, and they're like, "Oh, my hubby, or my misso," and I'm like, "Yeah, where are they?" And they're like, "Oh, well, I can pass it on." I was like, "Mate, I'm a big believer in Chinese whispers. As much as I know you might be awesome at retaining what I'm telling you, you're still not going to be able to give them the information like I'll be able to give them. So it's your best interest to let's just have a three-way conversation, right? We'll be all getting on the same page." So I think because, like you said, a lot of the time, I don't know if it's a pride thing or something like that, where people are like, "Oh no, I don't need anyone," and then you get the bad stories. Yeah. I'll put an EOY and the builder was jacking the price up, and I shit my pants, and then I was gone. And I'm like, yeah. So all that time and effort you've gone through and exuberated, then you've wasted. And while that's happening, that area's gone up 50K. Yeah. And now you're chasing that moving target. So it sucks in a way because I'm like you. Like, it feels a bit sad because you want to help them. You're like, mate, us as veterans and you being a veteran or your serving member, we all owe it to each other to make sure that you're doing okay and you're not getting caught out by anyone like that. So that's why we exist, right? To make sure that doesn't happen for you. So, but like you said, man, not everyone's going to be a believer.
Yeah. And Sammy Wynn, that's one of the best comments I've ever seen on any of these bloody forums here, is that speaking from my own personal point of view, if that had been us, I would have thought, oh, well, too hard basket. You didn't give up on us, so we didn't give up on you either. And you and your mate were nowhere near ready to buy a property when we first met. But I persisted and you persisted and we believed in each other and the circumstances of the market changed and fucking hey presto. So good. Hey, let me finish off with this. We've only got 2.5 minutes to go or so. In actual fact, Dane, as I reflect on this, the highlight of this last month has come in the last 48 hours. So many of our younger clients and single clients that have been saving up and got 50, 60, 70 grand set aside, and they're on their 60, 70 grand income. As we all know, being in the military, you don't join the military to make a shit ton of money. You join the military to serve. You join the military to give back. You join the military for job security. You join the military for travel and mateship and teamwork and all that other stuff, right? I'm not a fucking walking billboard for the military, but I know how it works. So, you can earn more money in the civilian sector, but a lot of those other things that are so powerful, non-tangible monetary wise, don't fucking exist. So we need a location whereby we can get people in that are around that $500,000, $550,000 price point. Now, the main location that we've been helping people with at that price point, Sammy Wynn, where you live, that's $600,000 starting point now. So, and I've been working very well with you and I, especially Dane, have had eyes and ears pricked up, eyes and ears wide open going, where's the next location going to be? Not in fucking the middle of nowhere, Shitsville, or in a regional area out the fucking back of Timbuk nowhere. There's another location that we have discovered or we're now doing the deep dive on and will do. As per my bloody calendar request for me, you and Simo next week, we're going to do a deep dive. And I think we've found the next area where we can take people where it's not going to have a 6 in front of it. It's going to have a low to mid 5, which is a good starting point for a premium property in a decent location. So that's what I'm actually most excited about. I really, really am. Huey Allen, that's a perfect thing. The property you bought, you and Kel, Hugh, that you found through us, it's 100 grand more now, mate, based on land prices and increase in building prices. So therefore, that item that you're now buying is 100 grand more, and it's fucking other people just can't afford it, mate. So I'm really, really looking forward to sharing that with you, with the crew, Angie Paradise, it was your husband that shared it with me, quite frankly, which I'm really excited about as well. But I guess the great thing is we're going to be able to help Dane, our first time clients get into that market. But most importantly, people that want to buy their second property can now go somewhere where it's not going to be fucking stupidly expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really looking forward to that, mate. I just thought of it then as we were going through things. So thank you for your support and your willingness to be open to not just focusing on those really awesome areas, and those areas are doing great, but they're too fucking expensive for some of the more junior members to get into. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And I think that's what it's all about. Like you said, love the hustle. I love the bustle of it all is doing that, is finding stuff and finding locations and products and so on that do suit a range of people wherever they are in their portfolio.
Yeah.
Because we can't be there going, oh, mate, it's great, 750 grand, off you go, where they're just like, well, fuck, I can't afford that.
Like, imagine all the people on the list right now going, fucking 750 grand. Whoa. I'm like fucking, I'm down in the high fours, low fives.
Yeah.
Like, fine. You know, now it looks like we've got a solution for you. All right, time's up. Thank you, legend. Thank you, Shane, for reaching out to us. Thanks for everyone for being so active on the chat. Again, Sammy, I can't wait to see you and your mate, of course, very, very soon next week. Thank you, Mum, for listening in again. Sorry if I say fuck too many times. It's just one of those things. I don't even know how many times it was. Nat did say in the car today on the way home, I have got better. So maybe that, is or isn't the case.
You might have done less than me. I will talk to you on Monday as well. It's in my calendar, Shane. I'm looking at it right now.